They move at night, silent but devastating. In just a few hours, they can destroy an entire field, tear through fences, and vanish before sunrise. Farmers call them the most unstoppable force on American soil, and they're multiplying faster than anyone can control. What started as a small problem has turned into a multi-billion-dollar crisis threatening crops, wildlife, and even human safety. Here's how wild boars became one of the most destructive invaders in modern U.S. history. Across vast parts of the United States, a silent crisis continues to grow, one that's reshaping farmlands, threatening ecosystems, and costing billions of dollars every year. It's not drought, pests, or disease. It's the wild boar. These animals, also called feral hogs, have become one of the most destructive invasive species ever recorded in North America. What started as isolated pockets of sightings decades ago has now turned into a nationwide infestation, stretching from the deep south to the Midwest. With no signs of slowing down, farmers from Texas to Georgia wake up to scenes of chaos. Crops ripped from the ground, irrigation pipes twisted and torn, and soil so deeply churned it looks like it's been plowed by machinery. But it wasn't. It was done overnight by groups of wild boars. They don't just feed. They destroy everything in their path. And the aftermath isn't limited to the farm. Every uprooted acre affects nearby wildlife, disrupts water systems, and pushes local economies into financial strain. According to federal data, wild boars cause more than $2.5 billion in agricultural damage annually. That figure includes ruined crops like corn, soybeans, peanuts, and rice, as well as infrastructure damage and vehicle collisions. The costs ripple outward from farmers to truckers, grocers, and ultimately consumers. Every pound of wasted produce or grain adds pressure to the food supply chain and drives up prices. Nationwide, recognizing the scale of the threat, the U.S. Department of Agriculture launched the National Feral Swine Damage Management Program in 2014. It was meant to unite state and federal agencies under one coordinated effort to control the population through trapping, monitoring, and regulated hunting. But despite years of effort, the numbers have only continued to rise. Experts now estimate that there are well over 6 million wild boars across the country. They're spreading into new regions at an astonishing pace, roughly one new county every month. The reason behind this unstoppable expansion lies in their biology. Wild boars reproduce with remarkable speed and resilience. A single sow can produce 2 litters a year, each with 6 to 10 piglets. Those piglets grow fast, reaching breeding age within months. In just a year, one pair can multiply into dozens. This cycle repeats endlessly, creating a self-sustaining explosion in population. Biologists estimate that to merely keep the population stable, not reduce it, at least 70% of the animals would need to be removed every single year. That's a target no natural predator or human effort has ever achieved on such a scale. Farmers and ranchers have had no choice but to fight back. In parts of Texas, Oklahoma, and Alabama, nighttime hunting operations have become a common sight. Equipped with drones, thermal cameras, and even helicopters, licensed hunters are deployed not for sport, but for survival. One large group of boars can destroy acres of farmland in a single night. The damage can erase months of work and hours. These hunts aren't just to protect crops. They're to protect livelihoods. And yet, despite the intense local efforts, the boars keep adapting. They're highly intelligent animals, capable of recognizing traps and changing their movement patterns to avoid danger. Many farmers report that once a group of boars learns to avoid one area, they simply migrate to the next, spreading the destruction further. In some states, they've even been spotted near suburban neighborhoods, tearing through gardens and parks, posing risks to both people and pets. The economic costs are only one part of the equation. The environmental consequences are just as alarming. Wild boars are omnivorous and will eat almost anything: roots, insects, crops, and even small animals. Their foraging tears up native plant life, damages tree roots, and leaves behind open soil vulnerable to erosion. Streams and ponds become polluted with mud and bacteria, affecting water quality for nearby wildlife. The ecological imbalance they create is now spreading into protected forest areas, threatening endangered plants and animals. Ecologists warn that the impact extends beyond visible destruction. The boars also compete with deer, turkeys, and other native species for food. Their presence drives some animals out of their natural habitats, creating a ripple effect across the ecosystem. Left unchecked, this could permanently alter the biodiversity of entire regions. Government agencies continue to test new solutions. Trapping technology has improved with automatic gates and remote-controlled systems capable of capturing entire groups at once. Aerial control programs have been expanded, and data-driven tracking now uses satellite imagery and GPS collars to monitor movement patterns. But even with modern tools, the sheer reproductive rate of these animals makes eradication nearly impossible. Researchers are exploring longer-term biological solutions, such as fertility control and habitat modification. The idea is to prevent reproduction rather than rely solely on removal. But these solutions require years of testing and ethical consideration, and for now, large-scale application remains distant. In the meantime, farmers depend on rapid response teams and coordinated community hunts to contain outbreaks. In some areas, partnerships between landowners and local authorities have helped slow the spread. Shared data, early detection systems, and regional coordination have shown promising results. However, these programs demand funding and commitment that many rural areas struggle to maintain. Without consistent support, the progress made in one region can be undone in another within months. The threat also reaches into public safety. Vehicle collisions with wild boars have increased dramatically in several states. Weighing up to 300 pounds or more, these animals can cause serious damage on impact, both to vehicles and to human lives. Their aggression, especially when cornered or protecting young, adds another layer of risk for people living near affected areas. For now, the situation remains one of containment rather than control. While certain regions have managed to stabilize populations temporarily, the overall trend continues upward. Every year, more land is affected, more resources are lost, and more communities are forced to adapt. The problem that began as a rural farming issue has evolved into a nationwide challenge touching everything from agriculture and ecology to transportation and public safety. Wild boars may look like ordinary animals at first glance, but their impact is anything but ordinary. They become a living example of how a single species, when introduced to the wrong environment without natural predators, can upend an entire system. The struggle to manage them isn't just about saving crops or money. It's about restoring balance to landscapes that have been thrown into chaos. As researchers continue to search for long-term solutions, one thing is clear: this is not a short-term battle. With every passing season, as more litters are born and more fields are lost, the urgency grows. America's fight against the wild boar is a reminder that nature, when left unchecked, always finds a way to push back. The outcome will depend not on one big solution, but on persistence, cooperation, and innovation, qualities as vital to survival as the land itself.